Boris Johnson, a showman for the cameras, though usually with mixed results. Our Foreign Secretary's habit of ending up in scrapes is prompting questions about how long he can last. But is Boris Johnson a hopeless buffoon, or is he actually a statesman of the New World Order who acts and communicates in a way befitting these times?
We are now able to fly the Union flag once again.
And perhaps that new style is all too much for diplomatic grandees from the past, most of whom can never forgive his role in taking the UK out of the EU. One withering assessment was penned last week. The intervention by the former head of the Foreign Office unleashed a flurry of criticism.
Callaghan, Carrington, Howe, Hurd, foreign secretaries used to cut ice abroad, particularly in Europe and America, but maybe that's not Boris's game.
Over in Brussels they have long memories of the man they remember as the Daily Telegraph's trouble-making correspondent.
It's always wonderful to talk to him, and he's a very intelligent man. We like in Germany his Churchill biography. But we are not very clear that we can really rely on what he will do next day. He sometimes has in Europe the image of a gambler, and that he is taking these questions sometimes not so seriously. We know that in the discussion about the referendum and after Cameron's negotiations in Brussels, that nobody was sure, probably he himself not, whether he would be for Brexit or against Brexit.
Boris Johnson inspires mixed emotions here at the Foreign Office. He does have a fan base amongst some officials who love having a star as Foreign Secretary who's instantly recognised in chancelleries across the world. Detractors say those counterparts lining up for his autograph don't take him seriously and in fact snigger behind his back. And that's not all. There are some in the Foreign Office who say Boris Johnson is a liability as Foreign Secretary. I've spoken to one figure who said that working with Boris Johnson is like walking a few feet behind a horse shoveling its shit. No doubt that arresting metaphor will register with a thoroughbred wordsmith like Boris Johnson. Allies of Boris Johnson blame Remain supporters in government for seeking to undermine the Foreign Secretary by leaking highly damaging and what they regard as erroneous stories that he cannot be trusted with intelligence. One old friend insists the criticisms are wholly without foundation.
The reality is, if you talk to the Iraqi Prime Minister, the Kurdish Prime Minister, the Libyan politicians, South America, Asian politicians, all our ambassadors around the world say actually he's one of the finest foreign secretaries we've had. I have worked with him closely in the Middle East. He can master a brief literally in half an hour and be able to get off a flight and be able to engage with our friends and partners and allies in a very constructive way and come away making them feel really good. One of the great things Boris can do is make people feel good, and he's done that, I think, on the world stage.
As a politician who sees himself as a fine figure of a statesman, Boris Johnson will continue to bestride the world in his own unique manner. Others are braced for incessant clearing up operations.